now.
Hello, Marion. Good evening
Hi
to you.
there.
Okay.
Good
Yes.
evening.
Yes. Welcome you to our meeting. Right. So, have we got anybody else?
Yes, you've got some attendees, Councillor. So if you want to start,
You want me to start the meeting now? Yeah?
Yes, please. Yes.
Okay then. Can I just start off by welcoming everybody to our ward forum meeting. As you know, this is a first. As you know, this is the very first virtual meeting we are having. We just thought that because of this lockdown with COVID-19, we thought we might have this meeting virtual so people can ask questions and relating to Birchfield ward. We might have you have to bear with me because this is a very first meeting and we all like going through a learning process. So if anything goes wrong, then you just don't get panic. We will try to sort that out. Okay, with this, can I just go on to this? Sort of, I got for the record, with a heavy heart, I want to mention the death of two prominent individuals. First, our community governance manager, Ken Brown, who I believe was a very hard-working and capable officer. During the time I worked with him, I found him to be a very reliable, genuine and humble. If you had taken anything to Ken, he would never refuse. Ken has done a lot for the community of Birmingham. He's not just going to be missed by his family, but by every one of us. The second person who I also had a big respect for was my good friend Donald Brown, former councillor Donald Brown. Donald also was a very hardworking, genuine and humble person. He also contributed a lot to the community. I can go on and mention lots of things Don has done. But we will be here all night. Therefore, I just offer my sympathy and deepest condolences to the both families. May their soul rest in peace. And this is the next thing is my update as a councillor. I won't take that long, but I think it'll take about a couple of minutes. Since the last Ward 4 meeting, which was held back in January, I was continue my work during the COVID lockdown 19 by dealing with the individual cases who needed help with various issues. At January's meeting, concerns were raised by residents relating to Midland Art, and I was asked to have a meeting with the Chief Executive of Midland Art to raise 3 areas of issue, which were HMOs, hostel, sales of their properties within their ward and within our ward, and tenants moving out of their properties and leaving rubbish behind. Myself and Barbara from Bragg have met the Chief Executive and David Taylor of Midland Art just before the lockdown. The meeting was very positive and productive. We were assured that the Midland Art will work for the benefit of the residents. In terms of tenants leaving rubbish behind, we were told that the Midland Art is trying their best to work with council enforcement to tackle. Now this brings me on to Victorian Jubilee Allotment Development. Following a long campaign from local residents and myself and other 2 colleague councils for Luzzels and East Endwood Ward, that developer agreed to deliver Section 106 agreement. Emma Brown will update us later on the meeting. There are some overgrown trees which are being removed and will be replaced by smaller trees in our ward. The last thing I want to say is about street parties. It was brought to my attention on Tuesday, the 21st of July, that the street party was going to be held at 69 Churchy Road. Straight away, I sent an email out to Sergeant Sean Stanley and copied Inspector Michael Dunbar, who kindly acted on and asked PC McGrath to have the logs with the organizer, and I will leave this the rest for the inspector to give all the update. So that's my update. We're going back to the agenda. So the next item on the agenda basically is the notice of recording meeting. I to advise that the virtual online meeting is being held in public and recording will be available for public future recording. The next item is for coronavirus public health update from Dr. Marian Gibbon, Assistant Director for Public Health. Can I ask Dr. Marian Gibbons, can you please give your update? And then people, if they have any question, they will ask you a question. I might ask you a question, but normally I hold myself back at the last. So I'll let everybody else ask you a question before I will do. Over to you.
Thank you very much. That's very, I appreciate that. As of Wednesday of this week, 301,455 people have tested positive for corona across the UK, and of those who, unfortunately, there's quite a substantial number who have died, and the rate and the number who died on that as of that day was 45,961 people. So one of the things that I'm really concerned about is that we've been planning now for having what's known as the second wave, when we're likely to have another spike of coronavirus cases, and what we're trying to do is make sure that people are completely aware of the need to try and do everything they can to get healthy for that, so that they won't succumb to getting the coronavirus. And so the things that we're trying to do in public health are make sure there's information available on losing weight, because one of the things that, as you will know from what the government has recently said, that if there's 2/3 of the people across the UK who have overweight and obesity related problems, and with that comes the increased likelihood of having a bad outcome if you do get COVID. So, and the other thing that we are also wanting to make sure is that everybody gets their flu vaccines in plenty of time this year, because it's highly likely that we're going to see an amalgamation of people who get flu at the same time as the second spike comes. So it's really, really, what I'm trying to say is the message that we come from public health is the importance of getting fit in order to make sure that you have the best possible chance of not succumbing to this horrible disease. And that's my main thing today, is to make sure that I can answer questions that you want to ask in relation to that, is how important keeping yourself fit and healthy, making sure that you get exercise, that you do all the things that you possibly can do in order to be healthy. And the government is starting a campaign that's called that's to do with helping people to be healthy, and we have also got a campaign that we're preparing for the residents of Birmingham, the public health department as well. so that we want to be able to support all our residents to get into a position of being fit and healthy.
Okay, is that your update?
Yes, indeed. It is.
All right. So have we got any questions?
No questions have come through yet, Councillor, saying that I can see. Hold on. Oh yes, there is one. How will social distancing be enforced? How will social distancing be enforced? Is a question from a resident.
One of the things that's really important is that we each take responsibility for how we live our lives, and because of the difficulties in actually enforcing social distancing, that we take our responsibility for ourselves, that we always make sure that we keep a distance from those others that are around us, and that if there are problems, if you are returning to your workplace and you'll find that the social distancing is not in place within the workplace, that you inform the council, and so that we can make sure that there are visits made, our environmental health colleagues are making visits to businesses and organisations to ensure they are following the government guidelines around keeping an adequate distance between personnel.
Okay, is there anybody else got any questions? I can't see any question coming onto my screen or this live event question and answer thing.
There's no more questions come through, Councillor, unless you have any questions yourself.
Oh, well, all I wanted to know, you know, this the council has allowed all these mosques and the religious institutes to reopen, and the worshippers are allowed to go in. They are complying with the social distance and all that. I know that much. But you know, when basically the congregation is over and people are coming out of these establishments, they normally hang around outside. And I think what message should go to all these institutes, organizers or the committee members or the people who are running the institutes, that they need to make sure the people, when they finish their praise or worshipping, they should not hang around outside, and they not try to mingle around, because that's if they're going to do that, then obviously they're going to be a risk of a virus being spread.
I can take that back. I have 2 meetings with different leaders, church leaders and Old Faiths this week. So I will make sure that I bring that point up at those meetings.
The other thing I basically want to ask, because you know, listening to the reports, you know, and reading the report from various people, the most deaths happened within the BEM community. Have they done any investigation why that has happened?
There is an ongoing investigation into that, but it's some of it they're finding is to do with some of it is because of the way families interact with each other, and some of them have large numbers of family members all in one house, and that's one of the things that they're finding is a difficulty for making sure that the spread doesn't occur.
Right.
That's one of the things that we found this week, was looking in terms of the outbreaks that we're dealing with at the moment. Some are to do with institutions and companies like taxi drivers. If they become unwell, they're not always very easy to find, and by the time they're found, they might still be in work and having people utilising their taxi. So there's those kinds of problems that are going on, because we know that people from BAME communities, a lot of them are doing frontline work. They are the ones who are the taxi drivers going in to clean institutions, and a lot of them have important roles within the community in terms of nurses, doctors as well.
Okay, Doctor, I don't have any more questions. I don't know whether anybody else has got any
Councillor
questions.
Hussain, this is Neil. If you don't mind me just raising a couple of questions that have come in, and I think they're more points rather than questions. So a resident has said that residents are concerned that if gatherings are allowed, it may spread, particularly if people aren't wearing masks. So I think that's just a general comment expressing concern that if people aren't wearing masks when they're gathering, that may spread the the virus. So I don't know whether there is any general advice about people kind of being in a social gathering around wearing a mask in general. And let me have a look. And also just another comment again in terms of what happened in Churchill with regards to that the party that was held. The general point that if people are gathering in kind of illegal gatherings, that's going to spread the pandemic as well. So those are the two comments that have come in.
Yeah, right. and that in response to that, it's very true. And there is guidance on wearing face coverings. And I think if there's anybody who is unclear as to the importance of wearing face coverings, I think all of you are able to ensure that that information is spread far and wide, so that if you're going into a closed space with other people, a face gathering is essential, and that needs to be made sure that everybody knows that.
Absolutely, that's really helpful. And from a Perry Barr point of view, we have a neighbourhood network scheme and we have a bulletin, and that bulletin contains lots of information, particularly around COVID-19. So it might be a good idea to circulate that, as well as any other guidance to residents that are within the circulation. Councillor Hussain, thanks.
Okay, we'll do that. Yeah. With it, can I just thank Dr. Marion Gibbon for giving this update, and I really appreciate for your time and effort to join us. Thank you.
Thank you.
You can stay on. You can stay and enjoy the rest of the meeting, or if you have got any other important things to do, then obviously it's up to you.
Thank you. I will take my leave, but thank you very much for your invitation.
Right. Once again, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. So we go straight to the next item, which is before I do that, Neil, can you hear me?
Yes, Councillor Hussain.
Yeah. How many residents have we got join the meeting?
Right. Now I'm going to have to ask Leslie whether you can see. I can't see the list. Leslie, have you got an indication?
Yeah, I can see currently it says 5, but like I said earlier, that however many are on the meeting, when I run the report at the end of the night, it's normally a lot more than that. So it really isn't an indicator. I've got to be honest. But yeah, there are people watching.
Sorry?
There are people watching. The numbers that's coming up on my screen isn't necessarily how many people are in the meeting. It's not very reliable. It's currently saying 5, but I suspect it's more.
All right. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Thanks, Leslie.
So thank you, Leslie. So we go to the next item, which is a Victorian Jubilee Allotment Sport Pavilion Development update, which is from Emma Brown, and I'm very pleased that she is with us. And Emma, can you hear me?
I can.
Yes.
Hi, good evening,
So,
Councillor.
I'm going to pass it on to you for you to give us an update on this, where we are, and when we're going to see this pavilion up and running, you know, in this ward or in
Okay.
Emma, can you pop your camera on, please? Because we can't launch you onto the meeting until your camera's on. Thank you.
Hi.
Good evening, Emma.
Good evening. So yes, I understand that people are keen to have an update on where we are. I'd like to have seen a pavilion on this site by now. I took control of this project in September 18 when my colleague Margaret Sullivan left the council. And at that point, the specification for the building had been agreed. However, the contact with Persimmon Homes at that point in time had diminished to a point where we had virtually no contact with them. So myself and my team have worked now for the last 18 months or so to try and move this project forward. I understand it's been 10 years or so in the making. However, I can confirm there will be a pavilion or a changing room of sorts on the Victoria Jubilee playing field. And unfortunately, due to COVID, it has taken a little bit longer than we had hoped. However, I am confident that within August, you will see a building going on to the playing field. So let me just explain what I mean by that. The building that is being put onto the playing field is actually what we call a modular build construction. So it's actually constructed off the site and then it is brought onto the site and connected to the relevant utilities and things like that. And it's all set up and ready to go. I understand currently there should be some groundworks going on the site already to enable this to happen. And I'm advised that the electricity connection should be happening currently. It's due to happen on the 10th of August. However, you know, those dates are liable to slippage at this point in time based on the current COVID situation and the fact that not all contractors are up and running in the way that they used to be, and often I have got less people to work with at this point in time. So there we go. We're going to have a building. Hopefully it should be in place by the end of August is what I'm told at this point in time. And I'm confident that we will be able to be up and running with this site shortly after that. And I think previously I'd been asked if I could provide any photographs or anything like that of this building to show people. Unfortunately, I don't have photographs of the building. However, I do have a layout plan which could give colleagues an idea of what the building will entail. I'm sure it's not quite what colleagues believed it might be at the outset. However, what it will be is a fully functioning changing rooms with shower and toilet facilities and a small office, and there will also be a disabled facility in the building as well. So let me see if I can share this to the screen. I'm not sure whether it'll work, but I'm going to try. And if it doesn't, then I will share it afterwards. Oh no, that's okay. So we've gone to this one first. Apologies, it wasn't quite the one I was going to put up, but this one is the layout plan. So if we look to the right of the plan, that's where the site starts on Crick Lane. So there is intended to be a driveway up to the facility. There will be disabled parking spaces, and there will be a footpath across to where the pitches are located. So that's so that will be, let me see what it says, a gravel kind of surface, that pathway there, and then it will be paved all the way around. There will be a ramp up to the front of the facility for any disabled access. Yeah, and that's that one currently. And let me see if I can now get the other picture up. So I will take that one down, and I will see if I can get this one up. Oh, apologies, I can't seem to get that picture, the other picture up at this point in time. I will try again, and if I can get it to work, I will. So that is the update in relation to the building, and I guess colleagues would also like to understand what happens once the building's there. So from my perspective, what we would do now is then enter into what we're calling the marketing process. So prior to any build taking place, we have previously engaged with all of the schools in the vicinity to see if they would be interested in taking on the field as part of their facilities, or perhaps joining together with some other schools in the vicinity to kind of take on the site as a group of schools. But my understanding from colleagues is that there was no schools that were interested in taking on the field. It is a burden for schools to take on sites such as these because there is a lot of expense associated with them, the maintenance and things like that. So at this point in time, our intention is for this site to be marketed, and it's Birmingham Property Services that do that process on our behalf. And what it is it's marketed on the website, and it will be for sports organisations to apply to take on the management of this site. It would be on a lease arrangement, and part of the requirements of the lease is that the site is available for to be booked for community use, and also by schools when not in use by the tenant. Obviously, they will also have to market this site once they've got it to make sure that they get people using it to cover their costs, etc. So the marketing process lasts 6 weeks. People submit what we ask for is an expression of interest, and as part of that they will then provide us with some kind of sports development business plan that will help us establish what their proposals for the site are, whether it will fit that site, and all those kind of things. Yeah, I think that's kind of it at the moment. I'm happy to take questions, or if you want some additional information, I can try and give it to you, Councillor Hussain and other colleagues.
Yeah, I know, Emma, I know one of our residents, Simon Bedsley. He lives in Answorth. He lives just down the road, you know, Buders Road. He basically sent out an email to yourself, myself, Sanjeet, and 1 or 2 others, and he's asked, I think, 4 or 5 different questions. I don't know whether you'll be able to answer those questions this evening, or you're gonna reply back to Simon and give him answer.
I think I may have covered a lot of what Simon had asked me originally, but I will give him a proper response as well, and I will also attach the plans that unfortunately I was trying to show colleagues earlier, but for whatever reason there was only the one plan that would load. I'm not sure why, whether it's the bandwidth or something, I'm not sure, but absolutely I will provide Simon with a response to his questions and a copy of those plans. And in fact, anybody else who wants them, I could send them to Leslie perhaps, and they could get circulated in that way as well.
I think, yeah, you might have covered those points, but I think those 4 or 5 questions which Simon has asked, I appreciate if you, when you go back into your office tomorrow or whenever, yeah, if you could send those answers by email to him.
Yeah, I absolutely will.
Yeah. The question I want to ask you, you mentioned that this, you're gonna lease this out to sport organizations. how long the lease gonna be for?
Usually we would have a lease on a site like this for 25 years. One of the reasons why we do that is often organisations can get access to funding, but when it's a substantial amount of money, the funder often requires them to have what they call security of tenure, and the only way they get that is for a 25-year lease.
Okay. So would those sport organization will be local based, or you're gonna take anybody from anywhere?
It depends who applies, but fundamentally we would be hopeful that people within the locality would apply to take on this site, because fundamentally we want it accessible for the community, and if the organisation is based in the community, then there's more likelihood that that would happen.
If I rightly remember, years ago, you know, when we were having some dialogue about this particular development, at that time we were told, you know, the councillors at that time, we were told that this development is going to go to the local sport organisation to manage it, right? And I think if you're saying that, you know, you're going to market this or in open market, so people to put a sort of a bid in or whatever, then obviously there might be people who are not basically based in Answorth or Birchfield or in this area. There could be someone from outside.
Yes, unfortunately or fortunately, the council policy is that we can't enter into what they call solus negotiations with any one group. It has to be a fair and transparent process, which means it has to be opened up to whoever wants to apply for it. And for that's our process. That's what happens, and that's beyond my control, unfortunately.
I'm not saying that, you know, you should do that with one particular group, right? But I'm saying that the local organization should be given a preference, because I feel you know, the people of this area, as I said in my update, that they have done a lot of campaign and hard work on this to achieve this, and now they got this. And if he goes to someone who basically not even around here, then obviously that's something not what I want.
Yeah. Absolutely, and we can take that into consideration. As I said earlier, our preference would be that someone from the local community comes forward and puts an expression of interest in for this, but I have no control over who applies. You know, I would be hopeful that you in your position and people that are on this call would start that process where they're engaging with those local organisations that might apply, to say kind of get yourself geared up, because this will be coming online shortly. And you know, I can advise you as soon as I'm aware of when the marketing will start, and you know, we can just guide organisations to the website and say please apply. You know, and I can ask that I can ask Birmingham Property Services if there is an option for us to say we would have preferences for people for applications from within this ward. I'm not sure at the moment because I don't run that marketing process, but I can absolutely ask that question and put that forward.
All right, thank you for that. I don't think I got anything else for you, but is there anyone from the residents who wish to ask questions?
Hi, Councillor Hussain, it's Leslie. There are some comments, and questions. First one, how are the contractors accessing the site? Via Crick Lane, from Hampstead Road or Grove Lane?
I'm not sure the answer to that. I had assumed from Crick Lane, because that's the gate that I had secured by them on a number of occasions when it was broken open. But again, I can check that information and pass that back to you. At this point in time, I can't answer it.
Is there a chance you can write back to us?
Absolutely.
Or myself?
Yeah, if there are any questions that are asked tonight that I'm not able to answer, then please do email me and I can ensure that answers are provided for those questions. Yep. Is that possible,
Okay.
Leslie? Yeah.
Yeah, that's possible.
Yeah.
That's possible. I can send that to you.
Thank you.
I think you may have already answered this one. Who will be using the playing fields?
Yeah, I think you answered that.
Yeah. And then the final one, can it be a Commonwealth Games legacy project? That may have, sorry, they may have funding for it. So did you get that? Sorry. Can this be a Commonwealth Games legacy project?
In short, my answer is I don't know, but I can certainly put that one forward as a question to someone on the Commonwealth Games Committee, and I can ensure that you get an answer.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, one more comment. Social value should be high in the spec so local organisations can bid. Again, that's a comment.
Okay.
And that's all the questions we have.
Great.
Okay. I think with this, Emma, I don't have any further question for you, but I just ask you if you could reply to Simon Bedsley with all those questions he has asked you. So
yes, I will.
He will not be able to, keep hassling me, you see.
Okay.
No I just want him to leave me in peace rather than you.
Yeah, I will. I'll reply to him by the end of the week, Councillor. Okay.
Right. Thank you very much.
No
and
problem.
I really appreciate your time, and thank you very much for joining the meeting.
No
as I said, you can stay on and enjoy the meeting. If not, if you got any other things to do, then you are free to do whatever
my day started at 7:30 this morning with a meeting, so if you don't mind, I will call off now.
All right. Thank you very much, and much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye. Bye.
Thanks, Emma. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I am. So we go straight into item 5, which is a neighborhood policing update from Terry is with us. Is the inspector with us?
The inspector hasn't joined us. I'm wondering if there's anybody.
Have we got anybody from the police?
No, I'm wondering whether anybody from the police is in the chat. If they could put a message in the chat so that we know you're there to answer questions. I think the police sent through an update through to you just in case they couldn't make the meeting tonight.
Have they? Who did they send this update to?
Hang on.
Only tonight what? Oh yes, I've got the.
Good. Hi, Councillor Hussain. I've found it through my email trail.
Yeah, I'll go one here. It's from Sean Stanley.
Yeah, Sergeant Stanley.
Yeah, you got that. Are you gonna read that out, or you want me to read this?
I'll happily read it out if you want me to, or you can. I don't mind, Councillor Hussain.
I'll try. Yeah.
Okay.
This is the update from the police. I'm sorry. No one was able to make the meeting very short notice, which is a very understandable in the absence of dialogues between us. I write the following based on the information that I'm aware of. I'm aware that the house party that occurred at 69 Churchill Road on the afternoon and evening of 23rd of July 2020. I recall this location from last year following the complaint from member of public relating to the noise and a traffic choke this party brought. I attended myself and noted the following. There was approximately 100 people in attendance. The party did spill into the street, whereby people were hanging around. This was probably encouraged by a burger van that had set up opposite the location. There was a suggestion of alcohol sale be it, I found no evidence of this. That party on the whole was contained in the rear garden of the premises, whereby the music was also played at the location. It was requested that the volume was turned down, and I believe it was. We perhaps not to satisfactory level that local resident would hope for. I am aware that the party did continue till 1:30 hours in the morning, and may only have stopped at the time due to sudden change in weather other than noise and nuisance. West London Police received no call relating to any disorder occurring here from there. Was no other information or suggestion that occurred. We were made aware that this party was again going to take place on 22nd of July 2020. PC McGrath liaised with the organizer in person, outlining expectation of the police and that was wider community. We have no power to stop this party. PC McGrath continued to work with the organizer during the course of the party. PC McGrath informed me that they made 6 visits or passing attention to the premises during the course of party. This year there was no burger van outside the premises and there weren't many people milling around outside. I have viewed PC McGrath's body-worn video camera on arrival. There was no traffic choke that we saw last year. The party was continued in a rear garden of the premises underneath what it would describe as very long marquee. Everyone at the party were good nature and engaged with the police. There were no more than 50 people in attendance. The owner did everything that was requested, including turning the music down when officers deemed that it would be a bit loud. Officers attended at 10:30 hours and the music was turned off. To the officers' credit, they drove past the premises at 23:30 hours on their way home, and there was no music playing at all. The event was monitored not only by Inspector Dunbar, but also the force incident manager and officers of a chief inspector rank. We received 2 calls to the police concerning this property, and we received 0 calls relating to disorder. On balance, I do not think this party was causing the same issue as it was last year. As I have already mentioned, I'm going on information available to me at this time. I will be arranging to meet with the organizer in a person on my return from leave in order to debrief this party, highlight the concern from the community and understand the lessons can and have been learned going forward. Since last year, I have had a meeting with our partners from environmental, health, highway, housing and council sign with regards to trying to stop a number of these parties taking place. This isn't an issue that the police can resolve alone, and neither can our partners agencies in Seoul. We did have plan in place in order to try to prevent some occurring, be it have no power to stop parties occurring. Our plans with our partners agencies were to prevent due to COVID-19, which was out of control. Be it we have managed to stop parties at other locations, according with the same some of the preventive measures we have able to implement. We have also taken course action against the number of properties in partnership with housing provided recently on Wellington Road, George Street, Will Street, and to my knowledge, we have not had any further issue. From my own observation, I do not believe we have had issues on the same scale as we did last year. I have tasked our officers to try and implement more preventive measures over the course of summer to try and limit the number of them or limit the impact it has on the local area. I'm under the exclusion that we cannot stop all parties, neither is that my attention. I do have issues around parties or step parties whereby there is a clear no concern the impact of their parties have on the wider community and any disorder or criminality that would follow. Please rest assured that we are continue to do all we can to limit the antisocial behavior and the disorder relating to these parties, despite our competing demand. Over the course of summer, we will continue to learn any lessons to again be prepared better for next year. Apologies, I cannot be at the ward meeting next week. I'm on annual leave. If it was rest day, I would have done my best to attend. I'm aware that Inspector Michael Dunbar will be attending. I would like to congratulate the organizer for adapting to our current climate and finding solution to all such a form. I do hope I get to see you all in person soon. These are strangest times for all of us, and I'm sure you share with me that you cannot wait for things to return to normal. This is the update from Sergeant Sean Stanley. So, are we okay? So basically, we haven't got anybody from the police with us this evening to take a question from the residents. But if residents do want to put question to police or myself, do it by email.
Councillor is saying the police are actually in the chat facility, and I've published the questions that the residents have raised and comments, okay. So that the police can see them.
Okay.
And if hopefully they might be able to put an answer in now, or if not, I can email those answers out as they come through from the police later in the week. So they are aware of all the comments that the residents have put in the chat box. I'm going to carry on sharing them. Okay.
Are we getting any question coming in, or?
There are questions that are coming in for the police, and I'm putting them into I'm publishing them as they come in, in the hope that the police might be able to see the questions and respond to them if they are able at this time.
Okay. So what do you want me to do? Can I move on to the next item while you're doing that?
Yeah,
or,
yeah. Move on to the next item, and we'll see if we get any replies. That's all we can do.
Okay, Doc. So basically, the next item is the matter for local concern. Can I have questions from residents if they can hear me?
I think Councillor Hussain, just to help you out in terms of some of the questions and comments that have been coming through. Yeah. Again, I think the major issue are these parties, and there was another incident on Church Vale last night, where there was another gathering with people drinking and no face masks, etc. So I think that's the main issue. If you just bear with me, I'm just reading through. I think residents are disappointed because they were hoping that the issue, obviously, that started again last year would be resolved. So they're very disappointed, obviously, that the parties have started again, and you know, they are looking for more enforcement. So I know that Sergeant Stanley has agreed to meet and to kind of look at a multi-agency approach, because I've been involved in those email exchanges, and I know that he did try to arrange a meeting before he went on leave, and obviously Inspector Dunbar is supporting as well. Let me just continue to just have a read down just to see if anything else has come in. Yeah, you know, there was another comment that says that just because it wasn't as bad as last year, it doesn't make it acceptable, which I completely agree with. But as Leslie said, that at least Inspector Dunbar is aware, hopefully, of what's coming through on the chat. And what we're going to do is make sure that you know, we send all comments and questions through. But it appears that the main issue, you know, is around these parties that are occurring during lockdown.
But Neil, good thing is that Inspector Michael Dunbar and also Sean Stanley, they are on our side.
They are.
And they are on our side, and I think we can work with them. And we can work with them and try to resolve this issue. I totally agree with the resident that it's not acceptable. If it's not better as last year, it doesn't mean to say that, you know, they should be holding these street parties in this present climate. Completely. Right. Anything else, Neil?
Nothing as far as I can see, Councillor Hussain. No.
Did nothing come through from Michael?
There's one. I've got one more question coming up. It's from Mr. Ty.
Yeah.
Councillor had a letter in early June requesting rubbish to be cleared on the Livingston allotment. To date, no action. Why not?
Okay.
What he's asking.
Say to I don't know whether he is able to hear me or not.
Yes, he can hear you.
He can hear me. Michael, after receiving your last email, straight away I have forwarded that email with my concern to the allotment team, the head of allotment, the Birmingham City Council inquiry, and also the cabinet member. Unfortunately, I have not received an update yet. All I have received is the acknowledgement. The head of allotment team, she's on holiday, and as soon as she's gonna come back, I'm gonna take this issue up with her. I totally agree with Michael that this is not acceptable. It's been going on since 8th of July. Well, 8th of July, I initially sent an inquiry to those relevant people, and I was told this rubbish will be removed. But if you look at the email which came to me on the 18th of July from Sally and from inquiry team, she said to me that she has passed it on to the Secretary of Allotment, and it's the Secretary of the Allotment, he or she was installation, and because she's in installation, he or she is in installation, there might be a while before they can process this. But I can assure Michael that I will be, I will be basically chasing this up for him. Has he come back?
No, he hasn't come back. There's another question or comment. I understand that to hold an event for more than 29 people, the people behind it have to have a plan to minimise the risk of COVID. Did the police see the plan? So that's one question that we can.
Well, I'm not sure. This can be passed on to the police and ask police to respond to that.
Will do. Yeah, I'll publish it so they can see it, but I'll send them over.
Yeah, thank you.
And that's all the questions I can currently see.
Anyone else?
Comment from Mr. Ty. He's not in isolation. I don't know what.
I only can say what I was told, 18th of July, that he was in installation, and it might take a while to deal with this particular issue. But having said that, even from 18th of July to now, I think things should have been processed. And what I will do, I will chase this up. I only can basically, apologize to Michael. It's not acceptable.
Okay.
Councillor Hussain,
no, okay, you carry on, Neil.
Excuse me, Leslie. I just want to say on that, Councillor Hussain, as well. What we can do, we can also ask our colleague Justin Hillier whether he's able to assist, even though it's probably a little bit outside of his remit. Yeah. But he may be able to do it for us as well, so we can pass it on to Justin just to see whether he can deal with that issue.
I think, Neil, just to bring you to your awareness that all these people are aware of this.
Okay.
When I send out the email, I copy Justin into them.
Oh right. Yeah, that's fine.
But thank anyway, you. we can try again. Yeah.
Thank you. And there is another comment that's come in, or a question, I should say, probably when I interrupted Leslie. I do apologise, Leslie. It's making the point that there's a quad bike problem across the ward, and residents wanting to know what the police are going to do to address this before somebody gets seriously ill, injured, or killed.
Sorry, Neil, what sort of problem you were referring to?
So what it is that there must be some youths or young people riding quad bikes around the ward.
Okay. I think if Leslie can hear me, can you, Leslie, pass this on to the police and ask them to act on this?
Yes, I have. I've published the question, and so the police can see the questions in the chat box.
If they can keep me informed.
Okay, the police are unable to put in answers at the moment, I think.
Yeah.
But I'm going to email all the questions over to them so that they can respond in an email to you, and we can get them out to the residents.
Yeah. Is anything else?
No, Councillor Hussain. Nope.
Nothing else. No other questions that we've got.
No other questions? So no. We've done pretty well, and this concludes the business of this evening's meeting. And with this, can I thank every participant who took part in this meeting. Thank you for your attendance.
Thank you, Councillor Hussain.
Yeah. So, Neil, if you want to stay on, we can have a look at each other and see if we're in.
That's fine. Leslie will end the meeting.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.